clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, here we go. Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I am your host. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into SST on Apple Podcast app, Spotify, and on YouTube. We got a great one for y'all today, talking nothing but the NBA playoffs, obviously with a keen eye on that New York Knicks Pistons series starting on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. I did an episode solo earlier in the week. If you didn't hear that, go back and listen after this one, talking about that series even more, and a crazy chaos theory about the New York Mets, which went over okay amongst people I know and people online. But nonetheless, joining me today to talk all things basketball, the one, the only, the big COC, Cody O'Connor, is in the building. What's up, brother?
Yo, feels like I've been waiting for this for a while. I don't know if it's OKC locking up the 1 seed so early, or just being ready for it, end of the regular season kind of dragging. But I'm pumped. NBA playoffs is here. Matchups we almost all but have, so I'm ready to dive in, man.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and we're recording this during night 2 of play-in. So this is Wednesday night. Obviously, it's going to come out Thursday morning. This Wednesday night play-in doesn't have quite the juice as the Tuesday night play-in, because that did have quite a bit of juice, if you ask me. The Warriors-Grizzly game was obviously fantastic, but even Magic Hawks had some good energy in the building and some high tensions in different points in that game. Now we're looking at Heat versus Bulls, like, okay, your prize is going to be to get to play Atlanta, to possibly get to play Cleveland. Like, congratulations. And then same thing for the Kings Mavericks, which tips off later. Okay, you get a chance to play Memphis for a chance to play Oklahoma City Thunder. Not as great of odds there for those teams. So I'm glad we're recording right now. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on those games as well, if anything comes final as we're recording. But these series, Cody, and before we get into the Knicks Pistons, which will be our first big talking point, these series turned out pretty closely to how you could have wished they would. And I think even to the effect of like the Warriors and the Lakers not meeting in round 1, obviously you run the risk of not seeing that matchup at all. And the NBA and fans at large would want to see that greatly. But we're talking about in the West, there's no misses, right? No matter who is going to be the 8th seed, Thunder are going to be massive favorites. But after that, we're talking Rockets Warriors, great matchup. Lakers Timberwolves, fantastic matchup. And a sneaky Nuggets Clippers as a fantastic matchup. And then even across on the East Coast, yeah, Cavs against whoever they get for 8, and Celtics Magic aren't that close. But Knicks Pistons should be a battle. And Pacers Bucks with Giannis and a Pacers team that are going to probably equal out to some extent. And obviously we'll break it down further. I mean, what more could we have asked for, Cody? These matchups in the first round should be long ones and exciting ones.
Yeah, there was a couple weeks I was staring at the Western Conference standings, like really hoping for that Lakers Warriors as a Thunder fan, hoping one of them would get knocked out before I saw them. But just as an NBA fan, I mean, it's so funny how all year, especially early on, like you get to 10:30 Lakers Warriors, national game, Lakers Warriors, CNT, ESPN, 8 o'clock, oh, it's Lakers Warriors. And you're like, geez, can we like stop with this and give us like, can we talk about the Cavs? Can we talk about OKC? Can we talk about Boston even? And now it's like, dude, feed me Warriors Lakers. Like how much that changed. But even missing that, we get a chance at it second round if we get there. But Nuggets Clippers, like you went through it. There's some really, really good series. I think all of them out west are closely contested, could go close to the distance. And there's some sneaky good ones in the East too.
And yeah, obviously we're not going to dive too deep into the specific series yet, but just looking at the NBA's at large big picture, they're always fighting this constant battle right now. I shouldn't say always, but currently fighting this constant battle of this old guard of Stephen Curry and Draymond Green and now Jimmy Butler and then LeBron James on the other side. Like, yeah, of course, the NBA wants Anthony Edwards to be as big as LeBron James tomorrow. He's not yet, right? You want Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to carry the weight that Stephen Curry does. He doesn't yet. And he has to win it first. He has to get in there first. We didn't spend an entire decade watching the Warriors and LeBron James in finals to just say we don't care about them anymore, right? So it's this weird give and take with the NBA saying, hey, I know in theory all these new and exciting teams are going to be our top selling ticket, but it's just not reality yet. At the end of the day, more people are interested in the Warriors and Steph and the Lakers and LeBron. And that's okay. I think it's okay to feel that way. Some people who are very intense NBA fans, I think we are very intense NBA fans. We don't really care. But then there's some NBA fans who'll be like, oh, what do you not even know about Alperen Şengün's postgame? It's like, dude, relax, okay? If the Rockets make conference finals for 4 years in a row, we're going to know all about Alperen Şengün's postgame, and he's going to get crapped on for never making it to the finals. That's just life, right? Like, it's all good here. And I say this because I want people to just take advantage of the advantages and realize that we got blessed with great series up and down here. And just because it's not Steph and LeBron right away, and just because we may not see that Steph LeBron matchup in round 2 if one of them go down or both of them go down, which is possible, that's okay. Then you get the other chance for those other people to shine. So it's a win-win-win, and I think this NBA playoffs, Cody, has the chance to kind of jump the NBA back into a positive talking manner, because since February, they've been getting crapped on. And frankly, this is not a crap-on worthy season after the All-Star break, if you ask me. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree, and I think we even talked about it on here a while back about how it's felt like baseball actually leapfrogged basketball into that right underneath football not right underneath, nothing's even close, but the underneath football, that they seem like they kind of jostle for that positioning of second most popular sport here in America. I think basketball needs a good playoffs. I think they have as good an opportunity to have that great playoffs as you could find with star power, with teams versus a star, like Giannis versus the Pacers is kind of how that series feels. I think like the Cavs, you're probably just waiting on the second round, but you get to the second round, you're going to have some good matchups there too. You might have them versus Giannis. You might have them in the Pacers, Knicks in the Celtics round 2, I think is what a lot of NBA fans are hoping to see. But I know you said it, like we're not there yet because they've got a battle on their hands with Detroit. So some up and coming teams. I mean, there's a lot of good variance. There's a lot of good star power. And you said it. There's every chance that this is what the NBA absolutely needs. And hopefully, them manufacturing a trade for Luka Doncic to go to the Lakers was enough of a boost, because I think that was for ratings too. So hopefully it's all going to work together.
Yeah, so many positives to draw from, and we'll get into the Knicks Pistons first and foremost in just a second. But I want to remind you guys, if you do not follow us already on social media, at Subway Sports Talk on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Drop a comment if you are. Say what's up. Let us know your Knicks predictions. And that would be a fantastic way to keep in touch with us on the pod on Subway Sports Talk. And now we know on Twitter when it's COC or PK, even though I've slacked though. Since I texted you about my buddy saying, yo, who's writing these tweets, you or Cody? And you started putting COC on the tweets. I have not. But if you follow us on Twitter, you'll see thoughts from myself. You'll see thoughts from Cody O'Connor and even an Andrew Kalanya in there venting about Aaron Boone.
I feel like I can always tell when it's Drew.
Yeah. Drew got in there. He texted me. He's like, just a heads up, there's going to be a major vent sesh on Twitter about Aaron Boone in a few minutes. I was like, all right, let it rip, baby. Come on. But all good. And now on the series front, the NBA playoffs officially kicks off on Saturday. And just to quickly say something about the odds here, it's a little shocking to me that outside of the Celtics, I should say this as well. The Thunder and the Cavs series are not up here yet because they don't know who they're playing. So outside of the Celtics, who are minus 5,000, the New York Knicks are the biggest favorite of every other round in the first round, or every other series in the first round. Is that a little surprising to you, Cody?
Yeah, like I'm looking at it like should they be really? And I'm really asking myself as we talk about it. But when you go through, I don't think the Knicks should. I don't know how you don't make them that big a favorite. 400 seems like an okay line. I mean, I'm looking at this and going back and forth on it, but should any of these other teams be a bigger favorite? The Clippers and the Nuggets are almost like a dead heat, and I think it should be. It's a pick 'em. The Lakers over the Timberwolves, could it be that big a favorite? I don't think it can be. So I think when OKC comes out, it will be.
Right, and Cleveland.
And when Cleveland comes out, I think Cleveland might. I think Cleveland has the best chance to sweep the first round, for the record.
Right.
So
They're going to be minus 10,000.
I think they should be like 6,500 if the Celtics are minus 5,000. But when
Yeah.
you look through, I think the Knicks are somewhat properly placed. I don't think you can have Detroit at like plus 250. I mean, I'm going to go back on some of the things I'll say later.
Yeah,
but
hold that thought.
They're so unproven, though. That's the thought, right?
Yeah. All right. So hold that thought. Very good. Let's set the stage. We're going to talk about every series that we have on the table just yet in a semi-order of intrigue based on just me and my level of intrigue and what I think you guys are interested in. So we will start with the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. So to go through some of the odds just to kick off this conversation, then we'll get into our breakdown here. The New York Knicks are minus 400, putting the Detroit Pistons at plus 310. You also have a plethora of options online to, bet the spread. Knicks minus 1.5 games, whatever. Detroit plus 1.5, plus 2.5, etc. And the line there is basically 1.5. That's what you see on a lot of series here. The juice is minus 160. You could also go a little nuts and go total games, over under for the Knicks is 5.5 games at minus 125. And then if you want to go exact outcome, you can find the New York Knicks in X amount of games, Pistons in X amount of games. I'm obviously not going to run through all of them, but I will tell you just the most likely scenario is, I'm looking at the wrong page here anyway. But now I got to scroll all the way back up to, I was in exact outcome, Cody. That's betting exactly every single game, who wins and whatnot.
You're like, man, these odds are great.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't really make any sense. And I'm still not finding what I'm looking for. So it doesn't really matter. We'll come back to it when I find it later. It's not that big of a deal. So let's get into this breakdown quickly of the New York Knicks versus Detroit Pistons. And Cody, I'll set the scene like this. The New York Knicks have been the better team for the majority of the season. Obviously, that's why they're the 3 seed, and the Detroit Pistons are the 6 seed. However, there's been momentum in the second half, like the Knicks have had in years past. The Detroit Pistons have been one of the top-ranked teams for a large stretch of the second half. The Detroit Pistons are the team with an up-and-coming star ready to make its mark. However, on the flip side of Cade Cunningham being a superstar in the making, in my opinion, you probably look at the New York Knicks roster and the Detroit Pistons roster, and you start going down the list, and the Knicks probably hold 4 or 5 of the top 6 or 7 spots when you just simply talk about best players in this series. And that, at the end of the day, is why the Knicks are favored as such. So with that little soliloquy right there for you, Cody, what is your gut instinct now going into this series? What's your read on what this series will look like and feel like as it starts to play out on Saturday?
Yeah, this is the one I've been hoping for. I've been wanting to see. A couple games I watched Detroit, whether it was against OKC, against the Knicks, or just just one of those random nights you throw it on, whether it's nationally televised or more likely on League Pass. They're a team that plays so damn hard, Pete. They play their asses off, and they're young, and they're fast, and they're athletic, and I think they're really, really well coached. Not by Chauncey Billups, by the way. But I think Bickerstaff does an awesome job with that team, man.
Nice
and
play.
I just they play really hard. They're not going to give you an inch. You have to earn everything. They'll make you feel it everywhere. And it's funny because I keep mentioning how young they are, and they are. I mean, they have like their best player, Cade Cunningham, is still super young, and part of that's because we missed him for a year. But they also got guys like Tobias Harris, and they have Dennis Schroeder, who I loved when he was with Oklahoma City. I love how hard he plays, how much of a pest and an instigator he is. But he's also an initiator. He's a guy that gets his own buckets when you need him to. He can manipulate the whistle and get to the line and be damn frustrating in that way. He can hit the 3 ball, and he's just a guy that kind of gets other guys involved too. Like he could be your playmaker. So you got a guy like him. You've got Tim Hardaway Jr. Again, it's not like we know Tim Hardaway Jr. The playoff demon, but he's another veteran guy to balance out some of the young youth on this team. And then some of the athleticism in a guy like Jalen Duran and Malik Beasley. And I still like Jaden Ivey a lot. So they have a good amount of talent. I do believe the Knicks have more. I think that what you said makes sense, that when you kind of go box for box, like you could say, I think it's pretty fair to say Cade and Jalen kind of cancel each other out at this point. Is that fair to say, Pete?
Do you might be asking the wrong guy, Cody.
Is one, so, because I know you're a big Cade guy, But I can't imagine you're such a big Cade guy to say he's got a real edge over Brunson.
No.
But then after that, you'd say that the Knicks have more edges than Detroit does.
Correct. If we're talking about edging, I'm very interested, by the way. But
Lotus review.
No, we got Cade Cunningham versus Jalen Brunson as a real conversation. So my opinion in that regard is that right here, right now, in this playoff, based upon what we've seen and what we know to be true, is that Jalen Brunson deserves the nod heading into this series. He deserves to be ranked higher than Cade Cunningham. It's that simple. What Jalen Brunson has done in the playoffs has been incredible already. Cade Cunningham hasn't been there yet. Now, do I expect him to show up and show out? I happen to think so. Some people do, some people don't. I put out a clip on TikTok today talking about this exact thing. I predicted on the Fan over the weekend that Cade Cunningham will average 33, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. That's some lofty numbers.
Wow.
He averages against the Knicks in the regular season 31, 8, and 5. So I'm bumping that thing up. And I think it's realistic because some people in the comments said, you know, in the playoffs, the intensity goes up and you keen in even more so on that star player. On the contrary, in the playoffs, intensity goes up and you lean more on that star player. Which is why Jalen Brunson has some of the stats that he has in the playoffs. Because when things get bogged down, you look to Jalen Brunson and say, yo, we ain't got this. Go ahead. Right? That's what the Pistons are going to do to Cade Cunningham here. They're going to be like, yo, I don't know what to do with this. Here, do something. And he's going to do it. Yeah. Right? And that might ultimately be a positive for the Knicks winning this series, but it's not going to be without getting those slashes. And when I say slashes, I'm thinking of like a sword slashing through you, right? You're going to get hit. You're going to catch some strays from Cade Cunningham. And it's going to be a series, in my opinion, that's a lot more contentious than people think. And I think you agree with this as well. A series can be highly contentious and still be a 5-game series, right? Even if the Knicks are winning early in this series, even if the Knicks do win this in 5, which will not be my prediction, I think all their wins are close, Cody. I kind of don't see the Pistons going down easy. I also don't see the Knicks running away with it. And largely that is because I think Cade's going to step up to the plate, and then they're going to need a Jalen Duren game where he, goes for, 18 and 14. They're going to need a Malik Beasley game where he hits 7 threes, and they'll have 1 or 2 of those. I think they'll have 2 of them, to be specific. But the Knicks will fight, and this conversation about Brunson versus Cade, which is kind of happening a little bit right now, will absolutely be a conversation going into next year because of what we saw Cade accomplish in this series.
Okay, I like that. I like that little prediction. Cade gets his. I think the Knicks get theirs. But you're right in the sense that so often in the playoffs, it is down to the last 8 seconds and none of your actions have worked, and we're giving it to our star and we need you to go be a star. And that's why you do not win playoff series, let alone any type of championship. You don't even win playoff series if you don't have a star. It's why so often I find myself leaning towards the team with the best player on the floor. It is why, and the only reason why, the Bucks probably have a chance against Indiana, not to jump to that series, but just to draw the comparison of that's what it takes from a superstar. So it is going to take those things. And you're so right in how the Pistons play a style that is they're never going to give up. They could be down 20, but we know how leads work in the NBA. And they just grind and grind and grind. And they have enough lineups to throw at you and enough rotational pieces that I think that they could keep things fresh-ish and have those different looks for the Knicks. And so, yeah, I don't see this as an easy series. As part of the parlay that I put on Subway Sports Talk, the aforementioned, I have the Pistons at plus 2.5 games. It's minus 138. I think it's really good value to say that this series goes at least 6 games.
I like that. That's my prediction, by the way. I'll jump ahead and do my prediction right now. Knicks in 6 is my prediction. You're also getting pretty good odds on that. I found what I was looking for before on the correct score tab on DraftKings here. Knicks to win in 6 is plus 425. That's the 4th most likely outcome according to DraftKings. So the most likely outcome according to DraftKings is Knicks in 5. The second most is Knicks in 7. The third most is Knicks in 4. And the fourth most is Knicks in 6. Now, I think that is mostly because of home court, right? So if the Knicks were to win in 6, that means they have to finish it in Detroit, which will obviously be a little more difficult. But I think the Knicks can win in Detroit, right? I don't think that's going to be the problem here. That's not going to be the big problem about being in Detroit versus at Madison Square Garden. We've seen them beat Philly in Philly and lose to Philly at home, right? So that thing it could happen. So I like Knicks in 6 as my prediction. But let's talk about how this series is going to look, Cody, too, for a second here, right? Because what we do know about this Knicks team is that you have Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby here for very specific reasons. Part of those reasons are for them to be secondary scorers, of course, which has been up and down throughout the season. Recently pretty up for OG and a little bit of Mikal. But most importantly, it's to defend great players. So OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges will be tasked probably 90% of the time to guard Cade Cunningham. You'll get your Deuce McBride possessions on there. You'll get your Josh Hart possessions. And obviously, within switches, you'll get a random Jalen Brunson, a Shamet, a whatever moment where you have someone you don't want on Cade because that's the NBA. With Mikal and OG kind of switching off on Cade Cunningham, just say they do an okay job, right? Just say they force him to not get to his spots as simply and kind of give the ball up a little bit. Say they do their job. What is their plan B, right? And I think that's where the Knicks could dominate this series is if OG and Mikal are truly up to the task to force the ball out of Cade Cunningham's hand. I think that's where their major advantage comes to play. But my question is, and we saw this a lot when the Knicks play Boston, sometimes it feels like Mikal's a little too soft on the inside for some of these players like Cade and Jason Tatum, and OG's a little too slow on the outside. So, Cody, to you, is there a number one matchup for this guy? Is there a one-stop shop defender that you want to see step up to the plate and take this task of forcing Cade and forcing the other Pistons to do something to win this series?
To start by answering that particular question, I think it would be OG. I just think he's the best defender on that team. And I understand what you're saying. But if you could keep Cade as a jump shooter, shooting contested jump shots and keep him out of the rim, out of the paint, I think that's a win. And I think that he's enough to – he's got such good body control and such like unassuming strength that I do think that there could be some type of trouble for Mikal in that sense. And Mikal could be deployed on so many other guys. That talk about versatility. I mean, they have some of that defensive versatility, especially with their wings. But I think if all goes well, I think plan A would be OG Anunoby. Can you move with Cade enough and force him into some tougher shots? And to me, their success, their game plan is, can we keep them out of transition? Because if you could keep a young team in the playoffs in half-court offenses and sets for most of the game, you're going to find yourself in a lot of success because you shut down that star guy and you have the guys to throw at him. All of a sudden, a guy gets the ball, and they might have had some confidence in the regular season. It changes in the playoffs, 100% does. So for me, if they could keep them out of transition and keep them in that half court, I think OG is the guy that you start with on him. I'm certain, like you said, that they will have matchups with Mikal on him. There will be times where it is Deuce McBride trying to get, maybe underneath and kind of like the Chris Paul way that he used to bother some of those bigger offensive players. So they'll deploy many, but I think OG would be my plan A personally.
All right. And now on the offensive side, and I do agree with that. I think I kind of made that clear in my opening there. I think it should be OG. But on the offensive side for the New York Knicks, it becomes a little bit of a question mark as well as to how they're going to run their entire flow of offense. Is it going to be as Brunson-centric as it's been in moments past? Is it going to be that exciting style where the ball's moving around a lot? You see a lot of cuts. You see a lot of, ball flinging around the wings and et cetera. And then also Karl-Anthony Towns comes into play, right? So we got two guys in Detroit, in Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren, who are tough dudes who are really strong. Now, he doesn't have a strength issue, right? It just comes down to sometimes how much he wants to bang and how much he wants to get in there. How much does he want to become a jump shooter? So what are you expecting from this Knicks offense against a Detroit defense that does have some pieces that can do some things? Obviously, Asor Thompson jumps out. Yeah. Dennis Schroeder jumps out as another good defender. Beasley and Tim Hardaway, not really as much. Tobias Harris is fine. But then those other bigs like Stewart and Duren do create some issues on defense. So what do you expect from this Knicks offense, Cody?
I'm hoping that we see some of that early high pick and roll from Cat and Brunson. I think that just opens up so much. I mean, a lot of teams go and double Brunson, and Cat's getting the ball at around the free throw line. That's opening up all these lanes, backdoor cuts, 3-point shots for Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart helping create when he gets the ball. So you kind of get teams in scramble mode when you can do that. And I think that's their best offense. And sometimes it feels like they go away from that, whether that's a Jalen Brunson ISO, whether that's just maybe Cat ISO, like in a little bit of too much you go, I go, which is something that I think every team has at times, has struggles with. Boston, I think, is largely the favorite. But how often have we seen down the stretch, Jason Tatum, you go, okay, now Jaylen Brown, you go, and neither of them are getting going. And they forget, like, what works best in our offense is these sets that we have. So I'd love nothing more than to see some high screen and roll action with Cat to get everything going and everyone involved. And to see the Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby games, whether it's alternate or maybe you have the off Cat and Brunson night, and you need both of them to step up. But that's what the Knicks are built upon is we can have 3 out of these 4 guys hit on a regular basis. And if those 3 out of 4 guys hit, you're going to be in great shape more nights than not.
Yeah, and what I'm interested about too, because when we talk about this balance of power when it comes to ranking players on these two teams here, that advantage for the Knicks does come true when you hit player 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So can OG Anunoby flash back to some of that strength that he showed in the final, weeks of the season there, where he was an absolute bucket attacking the rim like we haven't seen him ever do in a Knicks uniform? Who's going to be on him? And I'm interested to see that, right? Is it going to be Tobias Harris? Is it going to be Tim Hardaway or Malik Beasley trying to guard him? Is it going to be Duren, like Asor Thompson? I think he'll be on Brunson quite a bit. I think also, are you wasting Asor Thompson's kind of chaotic defensive mindset? And when I say chaotic, I mean it in a good way. Putting him on, an OG, because then all this math starts to come into place. Because if OG has any of the following, Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley on him at any time, Ron Holland, he should be bullying them. He should be taking advantage of that. And I kind of want to see him do some of those things he did when Brunson was out too. I think that becomes a huge part of this, right? Because I just think that if they're going to be selling out to stop Brunson, right? I also didn't even mention Cade. Like Cade could be on OG Anunoby. Cade could be on Mikal Bridges because Cade's not guarding Brunson, right? There's plenty of other guys for them to throw at Brunson. It's not going to be Cade. They need him too much on offense.
Yeah, maybe
get
on Josh
Cade in
Hart
actions,
or something, yeah.
Right? And Cade's a decent defender. He's got the size. He's not like incredible, but he's pretty damn good. And he actually rim protects decently well for a quote unquote point guard, right? So those matchups to me are going to be super important as well. Like, what can you do to take advantage of their defense as a Knicks offense, right? Are you going to be able to get Duren or Stewart away from the basket and attack? Those things come really important to me. And obviously that also plays into some of Josh Hart's strengths as well. Because that's when you really start to think about the strength of this Knicks offense, is when you start breaking down the matchups. Okay, Asor Thompson's your best defender. He's on Brunson. Guess what? Mikal Bridges running pick and roll with Cat now. What are you doing? Right? So these things are all super important for this Knicks offense to be successful in this series. And they're going to have to score a lot of points because sometimes their defense just isn't that good, frankly.
Yeah, but when you go through it, like the Knicks just have more ways to win this series than Detroit does. I think that's what it comes down to. Is Detroit is more reliant on the Cade superhero game than the Knicks are on the Brunson one. Hopefully,
Yeah,
right. That's the way it should be. So it's just that you need to bring it, and you really need to nightly. And I'm afraid of them not bringing it game one and getting punched in the mouth by Detroit in Madison Square Garden. And all of a sudden you look up, they're down 15 in the third quarter, and you're like, whoa. Like, this isn't how this is supposed to go. But I just don't think Detroit is going to come in scared in any way or intimidated by the moment or the Garden. I mean, I think they have enough guys that have been there in some capacity to help ease the mind of some of the younger guys. And again, I just know how hard they're going to play. And even saying all that, I just think the Knicks have too much talent. And as much as I think the series gets extended to at least a game 6, I think it ends up with the Knicks win, and a Knicks hard-fought win, and a battle, but them getting through to the second round.
And I'm obviously glad we're on the same page, as we tend to be sometimes here, obviously, right? But there are some fans out there who believe this is going to be an easy series. It's just not going to be. I mean, I'm not trying to pull the rank card of like my league pass hours and stuff like that, but like I've watched a lot of Detroit this year. I watched Detroit every time since Cade's been a rookie. I've kept my tabs on the Detroit Pistons because I've always liked him. They're good, man, and they can go on runs. They can do the things that good teams do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a Knicks fan who doesn't have that much familiarity with this team, if you can take off your fan goggles, you're going to see a team that you respect. You're going to hate them, right? Like you're going to hate them in reality. But if you got the fan hat off, the fan goggles off, you're going to respect them because guess what? They're just like the Knicks were.
They're reminiscent. They are. They're hard nosed. Yep.
I did the whole thing on the pod on Tuesday. I'm like, let's look at it. Beast, superstar, offensive engine, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham. That's simple, right? The only thing they really don't have. Oh, I'm talking about the Knicks from a couple years ago. I was about to say Cat. Then you look at Osor Thompson. He is a similar-esque player to Josh Hart.
Yeah.
Right? You look at Malik Beasley. Who's that? Dante DiVincenzo. What's up?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even thinking of Devo.
Yeah. You look at the Tobias Harris combinations of him and Duran and whatever, and then you're looking at the Randall, Mitchell Robinson kind of aspect. You're looking at Dennis Schroeder. You're looking at Deuce McBride. Toughness, grit, speed, aggressiveness. Like this is all stuff that the Knicks hung their hat on going to or reaching to this point where they are now, where they're not that team anymore. The Knicks are no longer the grit and grind Knicks. They're not the engine that could. They are the team that is expected to win. They are the team with the flash on offense that can put up buckets on people, but you got to do it now when it matters most. And this Pistons team is not going to make it easy on you. So, Cody, real quick before we make our prediction on this, we got to move on. Major X factor, non-Cade, non-Brunson or Cat. Like, what's your X factor outside of the obvious stars in this series?
I'm going to stay consistent with how I've seen it all year long. And I guess OG has stepped up enough to add him into this, but to me, their difference maker is always Mikal Bridges. Like when he's firing on those cylinders, because you expect it from Brunson and you do expect it from Cat, which is why they're not in this. When OG and or Mikal Bridges is hitting at that clip, you kind of can feel helpless against this Knicks offense. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're built on. You're absolutely right. They're not the same grit and grind it down, hard-nosed. That's kind of what Detroit is. That's the up-and-coming Pistons. The Knicks are here. They're not up-and-coming. To me, it's Mikal Bridges.
I'm going to call this guy out just because we haven't talked about him enough yet. I don't think he's going to be like more important than Mikal Bridges necessarily, but X factor for me, Mitchell Robinson.
Okay.
Can we see playoff Mitch get 9 offensive rebounds again? Because guess what? It's going to swing a game. Telling you right now, it might swing too, because this Detroit Pistons team, they rebound as a team. There's going to be Osor Thompson nights where he has 13 rebounds like Josh Hart has in the past. There's going to be Doran and Stewart nights where they're a pain in your ass and fouling people hard, getting tough rebounds, getting putbacks, etc. What can Mitchell Robinson do to supplement this defense and this offensive rebounding force that he's been in the past? Mitchell Robinson will be heard from in this series because he needs to be. So I think he's a major X factor because also what happens with Karl-Anthony Towns, he's going to get into foul trouble at least twice in this series. If we're being honest and just being real about who Karl-Anthony Towns is sometimes, he'll get into foul trouble and you're going to need to see some Mitch Robinson. And he's going to step up and get those boards and make those plays. So Mitch is my X factor. So Cody, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I'm back and forth. Knicks and 6, Knicks and 7, Knicks and 6, Knicks and 7. I think it goes 6. I don't want to piggyback too much because I know that's your prediction too, but I do ultimately think that's what it is, but I am predicting that Detroit wins game 1. The Knicks win the next 2, Detroit wins, and then the Knicks win 2 more. So I think it's tied at 2 after 4 games, and the Knicks win at home and a tough one in Detroit to finish it off.
I already said Knicks in 6, so I'll stick with that, but can you imagine the panic that's going to seep through this city if the Knicks lose game 1 on Saturday? Like, Knicks fans are going to have panic attacks if they lose game 1.
This is a rational city, right?
You're wearing a Mets hat, dude.
No, I know. And everyone is completely rational about Juan Soto and how the Mets have been and everything about it.
I'm also wearing a Mets hat. Yeah, no, it's going to be horrible. Monday morning, because they don't play again until Monday night, Monday morning will be a disaster. People will be going at the throats of this Knicks team.
Tom Thibodeau needs to be fired in the middle of this series. 2 other teams have done it. Why not us?
Oh, my God. Brunson, he's not He's not who he once was. Did he lose a step? No, dude. He's coming off injury. Karl-Anthony Towns is too soft for New York. It's going to happen if they lose game 1.
5 first rounders for 5 points? Come on.
Because you know what? I'll say this too before we go to our next series, because it's not just about the Knicks, it's about everything. The NBA playoffs reminds me of the first few weeks of baseball. And that might sound really dumb, but hear me out. When you're in the playoffs, every result feels like that's the only thing that could ever happen again. Right? Like, unless you lose on a last second, whatever, where it was so tight and you had a chance, whatever. If you lose by 9, you feel like your offense is now trash. You feel like you can't defend somebody. You feel like whatever just happened is the only thing that could ever happen again. Just like the Mets offense right now, when they struggle, it's like, this offense sucks. They can't hit. They don't have enough hitters on this team. Like, they don't even have Juan Soto anymore because he's not the same person. So like they suck now. And that's what we do with the NBA playoffs. And it happens every year in a certain series. Like, the Warriors will lose game 1. It's like, all you idiots pick the Warriors. What are you, dumb? It's like, dude, there's a 7-game series for a reason, and not every game's going to be the same. Okay? It's all good. And that it happens every single year with the NBA playoffs. You always think what you see in game 1 is going to be imperative for the rest of the series, and it's just not.
You know what's funny? I even think the games that end up closer in a buzzer beater, the thought is like, that was our one chance. So like, I think it's every outcome that is a bad one actually is the panic meter, panic button, whatever you want to call it. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But you get 7
true.
of them.
Yeah, you get 7 of them. All right. What we're going to do here for these next series, Cody, I'm putting a timer on.
Oh, right.
We need to
PTI.
We need to hit all these series. So when you hear this.
Can I be Tony?
Yeah. Tony who? Tony the timer?
No, Kornheiser.
Ah, gotcha. Tony the timer, though? Pretty good pull.
That's way better.
Pretty
I
good
almost
pull.
I almost didn't go with Kornheiser. I was like, I actually think the timer is good.
Time's great.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we're going to do 6 minutes on each series. Okay. 6 minutes on each series, and then we'll hit the timer. And obviously, we have a final thought. We'll finish the thought. Just like in PTI, the timer doesn't really matter that much.
Love it.
All right. We'll go on to the next series here, and we're going to go to the Houston Rockets and Golden State Warriors, where the 2-seed Houston Rockets are underdogs. They're plus 165, and the Golden State Warriors are minus 200. Now, I kind of think that that's a little bit wide for what I think this series is going to look like here, but we'll get into predictions in just a minute. Obviously, these two teams are kind of diametrically opposed, where we're looking at the Warriors with 3 major vets leading the charge in Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. And then we're looking at some young guns over in Houston in Alperen Şengün, Amen Thompson, and Jalen Green leading the charge. So 2 very different teams. The Rockets play extremely fast and aggressive and athletic. The Warriors play very cerebral with ball movement and Steph Curry shooting, but they did get a little more aggressive with the add of Jimmy Butler getting to the free throw line like he does. So Cody O'Connor, this series seems like one of those series where you go, oh, whoever gets this 7 seed, how blessed are they? They get to play the upstart Rockets with no playoff experience. They get a chance to get this 2 seed they're going to be favored over. What a win for the 7 seed. Well, the Golden State Warriors have been incredible since Jimmy Butler joined the team. And now they get this quote unquote gift of the Houston Rockets with no playoff experience. Cody O'Connor, do you believe that thought process about this underdog 2-seed Rockets is a fair one?
I think it is, Pete, and I think the reason that it actually is because of the teams that are all around. And when you look at the 3 seed, it's the Lakers. When you look at the 4 seed, it's Denver, and you're talking Nikola Jokic. You look at the Clippers and what they have been and what they have done. If you're not paying attention, they have quietly been maybe the second best team in the Western Conference post All-Star break. You look at even Minnesota, like down to the Warriors, and no, Houston's no walk in the park. You want to talk about a team that's going to grind you down? I mean, they're so similar to Detroit. It's kind of eerily, but I think they're better than Detroit. I think they have more proven guys. I think they have more ways to beat you, especially offensively. But realistically, I think that if you're Golden State, you're okay with this. And I think that's how you'd have to feel, because wouldn't you rather play Houston than LeBron and Luka, or than Nikola Jokic, or the Clippers, or Minnesota? Like, I think you have to take your chances with Houston. Is that fair?
You're right. That is fair. Out of the options that you had available, you
Yeah.
do pick them first, 100%. But I think we are overblowing this a little bit as to what this might look like as a series. Because right now, and I'll go ahead and jump forward again and give you my prediction. This is going 7, Cody.
Okay.
This series is going 7. I'm guaranteeing this is a 7-game series because I believe that the Houston Rockets match up nicely with the Golden State Warriors, man. If we have the strengths of the Houston Rockets put up right next to the strengths of the Golden State Warriors, I think those strengths match up nicely for Houston. Amen Thompson, Fred VanVleet, who I know people like to punch jokes at now for who he is at this stage of his career, does a decent job on Steph Curry. Does a decent job there. Dylan Brooks, a good defender. Tari Eason, a really good defender.
Yes, if they deploy
this
him.
team in Houston has 3 or 4 guys you really kind of are interested in seeing guard Stephen Curry. Like, that is the big ticket for me here. And then you look at the rest of it with Alperen Şengün and Jalen Green, in their first real playoff action here on the offensive side of the ball, they can do some things. So now you look at the athleticism that they have, the offensive ability to run with Amen Thompson and Jalen Green, the offensive ability to get hot with Jabari Smith and Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green from 3 and Dylan Brooks even, who's so annoying, but we'll have 1 or 2 games where you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, 7 threes? What? Because then he'll miss 9 the next day, by the way. But
sure.
Still, like, this team has the answers. The question is, can they get to them consistently enough? I think the athleticism gets them there to a certain extent. It gets them there with the size that they have to their advantage and the athleticism they have to their advantage. And the Golden State Warriors are old. Steph Curry's battling a thumb injury. Jimmy Butler, does he have 7 in him? Does he have 14 in him? Does he have 20 games in him? I don't know anymore. Draymond Green is still a freak of nature who makes incredible play one hand, next hand. What are you doing, dude? Get out of foul trouble. Why are we doing this? Right? So I think all these things can lead to a long series here where Houston's going to make it very interesting. But obviously, how are you betting against Steph Curry in this series? You're not. I'm just letting you know it's going to be 7.
I guess I'm not. But Houston plus 2.5 is another leg in this 4-leg series play. So Detroit plus 2.5, Houston plus 2.5. It's almost like I'm going to reiterate a lot of what I said about Detroit. A lot of lineup versatility, more offensive ways to beat you. No, I don't think any of them are at the level of Cade Cunningham, but I think when you combine Şengün and Jalen Green, it's you could argue that those two combined is a greater value offensively than just Cade Cunningham for Detroit. I think there's at least an argument to be made. Houston can go small, and Golden State's going to want them to. Houston can go big and give them nightmares rebounding the basketball. And my guy
what
Steven
Zach
Adams
was doing on the glass, bro. Zach Edey was getting busy on the glass in that playing game.
Well, Golden State doesn't really have much else to throw out there for that. I don't know Kuminga, but he's not like a big. I mean, Steven Adams can just move him with by breathing on him. So Houston has that option to go big. They have the option to stick with Golden State. It's not like Golden State's going to outrun this team. They've got freak of nature athleticism. Amen Thompson. I'm sorry. Yeah, Amen Thompson. Osoro is really good. Amen is. He is
special.
going to potentially become the best player on this team going forward. He's that good. He has like 1 or 2 plays a night if you watch a full game where you'll go, holy, like, can humans do that? Ting. So I got Houston. I got them at least to push this series. I don't think they win it, but I got them to make this a 6 or 7 game series. And they have enough to frustrate the hell out of the Warriors. I just don't know if going against that championship pedigree and closing out games and closing out a series is going to happen this year for them.
And I do think that the narrative that goes around of like, you need to get your playoff wounds in before you make that deep run. There's some truth to that, man. Like,
Agreed.
There is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all that stuff that you hear that's very narrative based, that one's true. Name a team that just popped into the playoffs for the first time and made a finals. Rare. That didn't make massive changes, I'm saying, with like veteran players.
Well, yeah,
Like,
you'd think of the Heat, but even the Heat felt like they needed the first year of getting beat by Dirk and the Mavs.
correct. But, and again, like to the point of that.
That's the extent, though. Like I'm saying, that is the furthest, greatest extent of that wasn't their core. Okay, now you added LeBron and Chris Bosh. It's way different. And even they needed a year.
And they were primed players. Like
Yeah,
Jalen Green's what, 23?
Yeah, they're young.
Alperen Şengün, 24, maybe? Right? Like these dudes are young, bro. Like they are young and they're going to get their licks, but they are not going to get over the hump. But this is a long series. I also think the Warriors, they have this way about them of going super hot and getting kind of cold too. Kuminga's been...
Yeah, they just did it against Memphis.
Right. And Kuminga has been no-show. He's not even on the lineup card right now. But like he's going to have to come in and play it at some point in this series, in my opinion. So I do think the X factor for the Warriors, I'll say, is Jimmy Butler, which is cop out because like Steph Curry's and Jimmy Butler are the two stars. But I'm saying it because can Jimmy Butler get to the free throw line like the prime Jimmy Butler? That's going to be the question for me because that just changes everything for them. And their entire math is different when he does that.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Podziemski has to have at least 1 to 2 games for them as well, where he just hits like 5-6 threes, and they have that extra scoring option.
And Quentin Post, who only scores from 3. Dumb name. Call him freaking Quentin 3-point shot. Jesus.
Yeah, quit the post.
All right. Next game, let's go to the Lakers and Timberwolves. Start the timer now. Got it there. Okay. And then we got the Lakers and Lakers and Timberwolves, where the series odds are a little bit closer, but not much, because you got Lakers minus 195, Timberwolves plus 160. And if you're looking at spreads on that one, you're looking at the Lakers minus 1.5 at plus 115, Lakers plus 1.5 minus 330, which kind of tells you they think this one's going long too. So that seems to be a trend amongst these games right here, or these series right here. So obviously LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, etc., Rui Hachimura for the Lakers going up against Ant and the old Knicks guys and Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle and of course Rudy Gobert. What is the key to this matchup for you, Cody? Because I think these are two teams that truly believe that they can make a finals. And you don't often see that in a 3-6 matchup.
I think for the Lakers, it's pretty simple. Like, you've got your 3 guys. Are those 3 guys going to be able to do what they do? And my money would be on yes, that Luka Doncic is not going to get stopped. That LeBron James, especially in the playoffs, and how he's been this all year too, which is unbelievable. But that LeBron is going to get his, and that Austin Reeves is just a guy and potentially the best third option in the NBA going right now. I mean, he's been special. For Minnesota, I think it's who's going to step up behind Ant, and is there going to be a consistent guy, or is it going to be Julius Randle tonight and Devo the next night? Is it going to be Jaden McDaniels one night? Is it going to, and so is it going to have to be a collection, or is there going to be somebody, Naz Reid, is he, who's going to step up? I think they have enough answers to that question. I believe that Ant will be Ant and just go berserk. And I think the Lakers are going to have a really hard time stopping him. I don't think they have the greatest rim protection, and they don't have the greatest perimeter defenders, yet somehow they have schemed up a defensive strategy well enough to look more than just competent, like pretty good so far defensively. Is that going to hold up in this playoff series?
It actually doesn't make sense that the Lakers defense
go through it. Think about it. Hey, bad interior defense, bad wing defense. Pretty good overall.
It doesn't make sense. But you look at the Lakers and, post All-Star break, they're kind of average on defensive rating. But for a section of time there, they were like top 5 in defensive rating post All-Star break. And obviously that fell off a little bit. LeBron missed some time, whatever. Some games got away from them, I guess. But their defense has been surprisingly good. The questions are who's guarding who? Again, right? That becomes a big question mark here. Who is the player that for the Lakers is going to step up and say, yeah, I'm going to roll with Ant for 40 minutes tonight. I'm going to roll with Anthony Edwards up and down the court, where he has energy to boot and a jump shot now that we never saw coming, right? Mm-hmm. With all the skills that Anthony Edwards has always had, we never said, yeah. he's going to be a crazy good 3-point shooter on top of it. We didn't see that coming. It's going to have to be Dorian Finney-Smith. Maybe Jared Vanderbilt gets in the mix there. And are those guys up to the task? I don't know, because you don't want to see Reeves on him. You don't want to see Luka on him, and you're not going to see LeBron on him. So that becomes incredibly interesting. But on the flip side, does Rudy Gobert have a place in this series, Cody? I hate to do it to him. I hate to do it to the guy who constantly has a fantastic impact all regular season on the defensive side of the ball. But if you talk about 3 dudes who are on the top of the list of messing with Rudy Gobert, putting him in drop coverage and high pick and rolls, it's Luka Doncic, it's LeBron James, and Austin Reeves ain't that far down the list. It could be ugly, and that's why my X factor is Naz Reid. Can Naz Reid do some of the defensive work that Gobert did and add the offensive punch that he has to for this team to be successful? That's the question mark to me, because there's going to be moments where it's a long stretch of Naz Reid, Julius Randle, not Vanderbilt, McDaniels, whatever, Devo and Edwards. Is that a good enough defensive team, rebounding team, et cetera, to slow down the Lakers?
Well, I never think that there is a place for Rudy Gobert in any playoff series. If you've listened to me over the last couple of years, he's the constant defensive player of the year who gets hunted in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, on the biggest stage. And I get his value. I really do. And I even came around a little bit to him last year. But that's the truth, is that he probably doesn't have a ton of time. They have so many guys, and he's going to clog up so much that they just don't need clogged up offensively. And he's never developed anything on offense. It's not like you think of Isaiah Hartenstein, that we both know very well. And when he sets that high screen and roll and comes off and gets the ball at the line, he's got 3-4 things he can do. He's an unbelievable backdoor passer. I think a little bit too much confidence in it. But he hits the float shot right. He does all these great things. And the point is, he's not a ball stopper and he's not a paint clogger. But that's what Rudy Gobert is, both of them. And so then he gets hunted defensively, and it's like, all right, so why again should he be out there?
Yeah. And counterpoint, what if he's just the lone big in this series, because the Lakers don't really have a center they play very much, like Jackson Hayes a little bit. But what if he's the lone big who's just dominating the glass and giving the Timberwolves, 6 to 10 extra offensive possessions a game?
And you could play him with Naz Reid. Naz Reid just plays mostly outside in. I mean, he's a knockdown 3-point shooter at 6'11", but he's also a great rebounder. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of deploy these guys. Here's mine. I have one more of these legs in my parlay, and it's Lakers to win the series. I was debating
-195.
I was debating a +1.5 Minnesota, +2.5, whatever. I think Lakers to win it feels the safest, because I just don't see this getting bounced in the first round with that much offensive firepower with those 3 guys.
Yeah, and I know we hit the time already here, but I have 2 more things I want to touch on. First off, Julius Randle, right? This is a huge series for the legacy of Julius Randle. Can he actually play well? And they don't even need to win for his legacy to kind of get bolstered here a little bit, but he needs to show up. He needs to play well. He needs to play good defense. He needs to rebound. He needs to facilitate, right? Because Anthony Edwards, for all of the things that he's gotten so much better at, which includes shooting and playmaking, he can't do it all by himself. So they're going to need Julius Randle to be a creator. And I always have said this about Julius Randle, man. When he's at his best, he's passing the ball, right? Always. When he's driving and flinging that thing cross body to the corners, finding Dante DiVincenzo, finding Naz Reid, that's when he's at his best. And he's been up against enough heat over the years for his playoff performances. This one's going to be even more, because my next point, before we finish up with this one, we're at a point now where if you're in a playoff series, you're going to ask the question, do I want to bet against Anthony Edwards, right? He's at that point. He's deserved that respect. However, on the opposition side is, do you want to bet against Luka Doncic? Do you want to bet against LeBron James? And 2 beats 1, Cody. 2 beats 1. The Lakers in 7.
Yeah, I think Luka answers that question more than anyone else on the floor. Do you want to bet against Luka Doncic? And until I have to, I don't want to. So Lakers in 6.
Wow. All right, we're on the same page again. This is gonna be a tough one, man. What a tough draw for everybody in this conference, man. It's freaking brutal out here. All
It's
right,
got
let's
to be
talk
Nuggets
Nuggets.
Clippers, right?
Yeah,
Yo.
let's talk Nuggets and Clippers here, man. Jeez Louise. If you said this was the series, let's say 2 months ago, you're like, all right, the Nuggets are the 3 seed, the Clippers are the 6, or the Nuggets are the 2 and the Clippers are the 7. Nope.
Hmm.
In fact, it's the 4-5 matchup. And we're looking at the series odds here. It's a dead even split. -110, -110 for the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. Who would have thought that we could be here today? But here we are. Kawhi Leonard, healthy, looking as strong as he has in years. James Harden, a near all NBA level season. Ivica Zubac
Maybe.
has become a top tier center in the NBA. Norm Powell back into his secondary scoring role, a monster. But on the other side, Cody, Nikola Jokic, the greatest basketball player currently on planet Earth. This is a series where you're looking truly at, do you want to bet against Nikola Jokic? Or do you want to bet against a possibly extremely healthy Kawhi Leonard? And that's where we're at. Because right now the Clippers are the better team. But is Nikola Jokic so good that it doesn't matter?
It's team versus player. And there's no one in the world that can give you the feeling of confidence in almost just one guy. And really, that's kind of how you feel with like Jamal Murray having been in and out of the lineup, Michael Porter Jr. having his inconsistency, consistent. Oh, he's good, he's not good, he's good, he's not good. Russell Westbrook, we know, is going to play an impact, and he'll do some things that are going to be awesome and fun. And you're like, damn, we needed this jolt of energy. And then he will make you want to pull your hair out when he turns the ball over for a third straight possession. Like, Denver is such a wild card. They just fired their coach, their GM, and yet still, all of that is said, and they're -110, partially for home court, and Denver has one of the best home courts given the fact that it's, in Mile High. But the Clippers have been playing some of the best basketball in the Western Conference and are still a slight dog, despite all of those question marks that come with Denver. Crazy.
Yeah. So I got some stats for you here. Nikola Jokic played 3 games against the Los Angeles Clippers in 2025 or 2024, 2025 season. He averaged 28, 10, and 6. Believe it or not, those are not the best numbers for Nikola Jokic. Those are actually pretty mediocre numbers for Nikola Jokic. But those games were in October and December, and how much you're going to really look into that, right? That could be kind of a fool's errand to look at that. But does this team have anything to kind of stop Nikola Jokic? And if you look at Zubac, he's been a very good defender this year. He's been awesome. So he's this guy who can do a lot, but also isn't super versatile defensively. So who else do the Clippers have to kind of throw at Nikola Jokic, right? Is Kawhi Leonard going to be able to impact the defensive side of the ball enough to slow down Nikola Jokic? He's not going to be, on him, right? Is Derek Jones Jr. going to be a small ball center for them, right? Is Kevin Porter Jr. going to be relied upon in this series? I don't know. And those questions to me become pretty apparent when you start thinking about what Jokic can do. And if, God forbid, you see a top-tier Murray and a top-tier Porter and a really good version of Christian Brown, I'm torn here, Cody. This is my most contentious series because there's a reason it's -110, -110.
There's a reason it's out of my parlay entirely.
Wow.
I am having Clippers is my thought, my feel, and I think that's what I'll stick with as my lean. But it's so slight because I think it's almost as simple as if Jamal Murray shows up like Jamal Murray, that's the guy I trust the most to be able to elevate and to be a 25 point per game scorer and the star that Jokic, everyone needs somebody with them. As unbelievable as the guy is, you don't win on your own. Nobody does. He needs a guy or two. He needs Michael Porter Jr. a little bit, but I think it's if Jamal Murray can be Jamal Murray, that's the team. But that's a big gamble. And is it a bigger gamble than can James Harden be the same guy he was in the regular season when we know of some of the woes? And is Ivica Zubac, who's been unbelievable and such a beneficial player for them. Like he's been, I'm not all NBA level, but like
He's close.
maybe all NBA level. Like
He's damn close.
He's right on that cusp, right? Like he's been that valuable. Norm Powell, we know about. Like I think the Clippers have more ways, but best player on the floor, best player in the world against the better team. Best players got home court. Again, that's why you're so torn. This one's the most, I think, anticipated I have for any series. And I guess that's why I don't have a great decider on either side.
My gut, I ain't betting against Jokic, man. I'm just not doing it. I just can't imagine a world where he's not at least in the second round. Now, if they win, they get to go play the Oklahoma City Thunder. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this question. As an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, Cody, who are you rooting for?
Yeah, I'm even that closely torn on that. I'm happy that I think I'm happy that it's not the Warriors or the Lakers. I saw them play the Clippers a few times. Clippers play really hard defensively, which is so surprising for a veteran team, for an older team.
For a James Harden team?
James Harden gets such a bad rep for that, but he's not.
I agree.
He could be a pretty good defender, and like when he revs it up, like he's strong and hard to get past, and
good hands.
He got good hands. He's smart, but sometimes he just lets you go through. I think I would rather see the Clippers because Jokic just has every freaking answer. And when you talk about over a full series, no matter how many guys OKC can throw at him and at these different players, Jokic just seems to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So slight lean, it's not like I really hope for, but I think my slight lean would be that the Clippers come into town and that OKC can kind of run them. I think they just then I think of the rim protection possibilities, like what they could do offensively against Denver. That's how torn I am. I don't have a great answer for this.
Well, I'll say this too. If you start playing the injury game too, obviously you always have to be weary of Kawhi staying healthy. You have to be weary of Harden not slowing down a little bit in a series. Harden also does struggle a little bit more if you have super intense perimeter defense. So in that regard, if I'm the Thunder, I'd rather play them because guess what the Thunder are awesome at? Perimeter defense, right? Like they can make Harden's life hell a lot easier than making Jokic's life hell. And I know Kawhi will be probably the X factor of all X factors for the Los Angeles Clippers of, how far they can make it on a postseason run here. But, if you got to pick your poison here, I think you're picking slowing down James Harden, making Kawhi do it all by himself and hoping that Kevin Porter Jr. and Norm Powell help carry the second unit or whatever it may be. So I think if I were a Thunder fan, I would root for the Clippers. But if I'm picking this series, I'm picking the Nuggets. I'm picking it in 6. Picking Nuggets in 6. That's what I'm going with.
Clippers in 7.
All right.
I don't like it at all. Don't bet that one.
Sucks.
Don't follow me on that one.
It sucks. It's not fun here.
It's going to be so much fun, but I'm not. I mean, you'll see the little SGPs deployed with the 20% boost DraftKings is giving. Like, thanks a lot. But I don't know that you're going to see many outcomes coming from me in that series.
Yeah,
at least it'll be game to game. I'm clearly not betting the series.
All right, let's do our real last one, even though we have one more after this. But I think with Celtics Magic, we're going to say, hey, listen, the Magic are going to play hard. There's going to be 1 or 2 games that are kind of close, but this ain't going longer than 5, right? Is that what we're doing?
I did hear one thing. I think that the Celtics' worst record against like any team in the NBA over the last couple years is against Orlando. Celtics are going to win in 5.
Right? It's just like you just say Celtics in 5. They'll have one game where they shoot, whatever.
Just don't think Orlando could score enough. That's it.
Yeah, they can't. They'll have one game where the Celtics can't hit a 3, and they'll be like, all right, word. But actually, you know what's funny, though? This year, they only played the Magic twice this year? No, 4 times. I'm dumb. 2-2 against the Magic this year.
Yeah, it might not.
They only played them 3 times. 3 times. 1-2 against the Magic this year.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, they at least saw some. But who knows? Like they could have been sitting 3 guys.
Oh, one of those games. One of those games was April 9th.
Oh, yeah. So it was like
that doesn't count. They were 1-1. We'll call that 1-1. But in 2022 and 2023, there was a stretch where the Magic beat the Celtics 4 times in a row.
So
very funny.
It's got to be.
All right, so let's go to this other series that's also very interesting, and the last one we'll truly break down here today because we kind of just did the Celtics Magic breakdown. Indiana Pacers against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Pacers are minus 195 to win this series. And Cody, I just want to ask you this question. Would you have imagined a fully healthy, fully reared back and ready to roll Giannis Antetokounmpo being a underdog in a playoff series at this point in his career? In the first round.
The first round is the point of it all.
Yeah.
And an Indiana team that, they won 2 series last year. They went to the conference finals. It's not nothing. I know the Knicks were banged up. I mean, more than banged up. But you play who's in front of you, and they got to the conference finals. But they
played decently well in the conference finals.
Yeah.
They played all those games tight, basically.
But I don't think they're a team that invokes confidence in the national audience. Like, I don't think that the general viewing public is like, oh, yeah, Indiana's going on a run. I don't think most NBA fans are feeling that way. And yet, they're a favorite against Milwaukee. Best player versus better team. Well, last leg of that parlay I mentioned is the Bucks plus 2.5 games. And I got to say, and this is usually where I get myself into trouble, but I might feel better about that leg than any other because I just don't see a world where Giannis doesn't win at least 2 games. I mean, I know what we've even said it on here about Milwaukee, but he's not going to get 2. He's not going to push that series. I think they could win the series outright because Giannis is that good, and he's been playing that good too. It's not like, oh, he's lost.
Yeah, it's not like he's had a weird season. Like, he's been awesome all year. He's
Yeah.
played 67 games, 30 points, 12 rebounds. By the way, he only played one more game than Jalen Brunson. Just want to throw that out there. And we all just chalk him up.
The injury.
We just chalk him up. First team All NBA. He's also averaging 30, 11, and 6.
He is first team All NBA.
Yeah, not even close. I'm being a jerk. But no, you're right on this front. And you know what's funny? We just talked about Kevin Porter Jr. for the Clippers. Was a Milwaukee Buck earlier in this season. Only played like 2 games though. Oh no, he played like 30, whatever. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Dame Lillard is trying to get back for this series, but will not start the series. But also when he comes back, what's he going to look like? How much does that change the math on things? He was playing really well this year. He was averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists for Dame Lillard. Like, we're talking like pretty legit Dame Lillard season, 37% from 3, 9 attempts a game. Not having him is insane. Like, you're looking at this team now. Giannis, Kuzma, Portis is back now. Brook Lopez. What are we doing here, Cody? Gary Trent, AJ Green that's who we're relying upon. What has happened to this franchise? We're going to look at a game here, Cody, where the factor of them winning a game or not, because Giannis is going to have 40, is if Brook Lopez shot 4 for 8 from 3 or 2 for 8 from 3. Like, that's what they're hoping for now, dude. How are they going to combat that? How?
Bobby Portis goes for 40 in 2 separate games.
It's insane though. Like, how little depth they have here. How much Kyle Kuzma is relied upon.
He's like a second, third option.
How many shots a game do you think Kyle Kuzma takes since he's been a Milwaukee Buck?
Oh, he doesn't take a lot though, right? Like, I'm gonna say he takes 14 a game.
That's close. He's at 12. That's the second most on the team. Without Dame Lillard, by the way. I'm not counting Dame because he's been out. Takes the second most.
But all right. Go through that and then tell me though. Are you taking Indiana? Are you thinking Indiana gentleman sweeps him? Like, even though we know what this roster
absolutely not.
looks like.
Plus 2.5. You're locked in. That's a fucking lock. Giannis is winning 2 games by himself. He's going to drag Tyrese Halliburton and Andrew Nembhard to the basket over and over again. He is going to dunk on Miles Turner so hard. Miles Turner's Legos are going to break at home. Like, Giannis is going to have monstrosity, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. Like, I should have said monstrous performances every game. Who's stopping him? Who's guarding him for Indiana? And they're a tough defensive team. I know their defensive metrics aren't that good because of how fast they play.
Yep.
But I saw that series against the Knicks last year. They freaking grind on defense.
They have athletes. That's why I was always surprised not surprised, but but I thought the numbers were always a little misleading because they'd have really good athletes on that team.
Yeah. So when you're looking at Tyrese Halliburton, who's playing the best ball
Mm.
he has since the beginning of last year, you're looking at Pascal Siakam still being a really good player. I love Benedict Mathurin. I think Nembhard and Nesmith are really good guard wing combos. You know, Miles Turner isn't the best, but he's still useful. Obi Toppin comes in and turns games around. Like, this team is highfalutin for a reason. Like, they are expected to be here. They're favored now, and they should be. They're the better team in every single possible way except for one man. Every single way, they're better. Faster, better shooters, better defenders, better rebounders, better passers. They're better at every aspect of the game except for Giannis.
And is he enough to actually win a series, though?
Break it down for me. Break it down for me. What does it look like if the Bucks were to win this series? What does Giannis have to average to win this series?
35 points at least. I think
You
he
think-
has to.
I think more.
I think he has to average 35. Say 15 and 6, but I think there's going to have to be a really poor shooting game or two from Indiana, and you're going to have to have Kyle Kuzma unlock Bubble Kuz and go back to the Laker days where he was contributing to a championship. You're going to have Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is not going to shy away from being like, "Hey, Bobby, we're going to need
Certainly
some
won't.
shots from you." He's like, bet. Like, I was already going to do that, Like, I was taking 15 a game, whatever you said. It's hard to picture, like, any others, but is there so much attention being put on Giannis that the shots and looks are so open early on? You know how it works. I mean, you get a team get going and the rhythm starts flowing, and all of a sudden shots are falling from guys that ultimately wouldn't hit shots in other games. So they get a little confidence early. Maybe Giannis plays facilitator early, closes late. It's hard to picture like where that, like we just talked about with Jokic, where does the secondary scoring come from? If it's Murray, watch out. If it's this guy, watch out. And yeah, I have the Bucks locked in as plus 2.5.
So let me give a hypothetical for you real quick. Dame Lillard comes back at home game 3, and the series
1-1.
Let's say the series is 1-1. How much does that
great.
change? How much does that change your math on the series?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, like, Lillard has had a pretty good season, but he's a reliable scorer, and him and Giannis together should make so much sense in theory. Outside player, inside player, spacing should work, rolling 2-man game, pick and roll, tons of pressure on Dame, opens it up for Giannis, don't pressure Dame, he gets a 3-point look. Like, it makes so much sense in theory. I'm not banking on Dame coming back, even though I think he's going to. Like, when I made the bet, it wasn't, it's because I think Dame's coming back. But if you're looking at it that way, they're like, we just got to steal one, and then we get Dame back all of a sudden. Yeah, there's a real shot for Milwaukee to not walk through, but to walk away from that series as the winner.
So here is the update for Dame Lillard. This is from yesterday. This is from Tuesday. Damian's most recent weekly scan shows that his injury has significantly improved, and this was blood clots, by the way,
Yep.
which will enable him to move ahead safely with increased basketball activity. Lillard has not yet been cleared to resume full basketball activities despite the significant improvement. So they're not going to have him right away. At best, I think they get him for game 3 or game 4 at best. And hopefully it's just not too late for them. However, Cody O'Connor, Doc Rivers theory, better without his good players, better coach without his good players. Jericho Sims, 9 offensive rebounds.
Doc Rivers just doesn't get enough credit for the wins he did have.
He did get up 3-1 in those series in the first place.
And the best tweet is that it's like when you place a 4-leg parlay and hit 3 legs.
Yeah.
I don't get enough credit for my wins.
But, dude, I got to say this about Doc Rivers, too, because I give him enough crap for all the series he's blown. He's always coached for teams that I didn't really want to root for. His year coaching the Clippers when they didn't have all the stars anymore, and they were just competitive as hell, and like Lou Williams was playing like 27 a game off the bench and like just dominating. Like that's Doc's best bag, right? Like he's in his bag when he doesn't have his best players. Like I don't know why. It's just a thing with him. And maybe he makes chicken salad out of chicken shit. I don't know. But I'm ready to make my prediction. Are you ready?
Okay, go for it.
Bucks in 7.
All right, damn you.
Yeah, I'm saying Dame Lillard back game 3. And again, this is a deeply sensitive injury. It's like blood clots. It's called something thrombosis or something. So I understand the sensitivity of it. Dame Lillard's back game 3. They make it 2-1. And Giannis carries them home.
I'm going Bucks.
Oh, really?
Baker Mayfield.
Oh.
6 games. Let's do it.
Wait. Baker Mayfield.
The Bucks. But not the Buccaneers.
Got
but
it.
Baker,
I thought you were about to do a Shannon Sharp on me, and I ruined it.
No. What number's Baker wear? Number 6. Let's go with it. I'm going Bucks in 6, man. I think that they're going to steal one, and I don't know what it is. Why I don't believe in Indiana. I just can't. I can't get around on them. I don't know why. Maybe, and I like Tyrese, but like maybe it's just as simple as Giannis, Tyrese, and that it's just not a comparison. It's enough for me to have the best player on the floor by that large of a margin.
Is there a chance the Pacers just like win this in 5?
Oh yeah.
Certainly,
dude,
right?
The
Isn't
Bucks
that weird?
Kind of stink. Like, I mean,
Milwaukee Bucks, $100, Starbucks, Pacers in 5.
Damn you,
off
Shannon.
the top.
That was good though.
Cunningham, green eggs and ham, canned spam. Knicks in 5.
Dude, the brain is working. Mine is off right now.
I got no more.
Not this time.
I don't know. Ant-Man, Iron Man, Sandman. I don't know. Lakers in 5. That's all I got. Can we
Bucks
make a quick
6.
prediction for a finals prediction here?
Yeah.
You want to predict the final 4?
Okay.
Let's predict the final 4. Who's your Western Conference Finals, Cody?
Thunder, Lakers.
Okay. And your Eastern Conference Finals?
Cavs, Celtics.
Yeah, okay. And what's the final pick?
Thunder, Celtics.
And the winner is? Thunder. Putting your name on it. 10 toes down.
To not back a 68-win team that broke a ton of records, most of them like net rating and things along the lines of win margin and most double-digit wins, but dominant regular season, saw it last season, feel they improved the spots they need to. My team, I mean, what kind of sellout would I be to not pick them this year?
Yeah.
And I believe it all.
No, it's true. And you're totally right to think that. It's like they've just been so freaking good. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna make a case against them other than I just don't believe? Like that's it. There's no case.
I don't think there's been
case.
a great basketball argument against them. And I think there are some. I just don't think people have made the right ones. I think that's why I get frustrated by some of it. It's like
the case is simple to me. I think I've made it. The case is the secondary scoring falls off a cliff. That's the case. Chet's not hitting shots. Jalen Williams shows up small, and Shea can't do it by himself. That's the case.
They're not turning the ball. They're not turning the other team over, therefore not getting in transition, so it slows down. And that is, I agree. They're not hitting shots, and they're not defending the 3, and other teams get hot from 3. There is some of that.
Look at the champions. Look at the current champions in the NBA, right? Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Tatum-Brown combo in Boston, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Stephen Curry. All of them, outside of maybe Steph, but then you point to Andrew Wiggins, who had a out-of-body experience in that finals, had spectacular performances from somebody else. Jason Tatum didn't even win finals MVP. Jamal Murray went dumb in those playoffs. Chris Middleton was almost as valuable as Giannis in those playoffs. LeBron James had Anthony Davis, right? Am I missing? Oh, Kawhi Leonard. Maybe you give Kawhi Leonard the shout there. That entire team played amazing. Kevin Durant hurt. Klay Thompson hurt. Makes a difference.
Kyle Lowry was pretty damn good.
He was very good.
Exercised a lot of demons in that series. Plus
He
all
certainly
the injuries, like you mentioned, was bigger.
And Pascal Siakam played well too, right?
Yeah.
Like he played well. Marcus All was big for them. They were a good team. I'm not taking anything away from them or Kawhi. I'm just saying, you don't win without other people playing spectacular with basketball. You just don't.
Mm-hmm.
So like Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren have to do it.
Yep.
Alex Caruso has to have moments. He's been there before too. People forget. Like the Thunder have to have other people do really big, important things. Aaron Wiggins might have to do what he does in the regular season twice a week in the playoffs.
That's the thing. Like those guys, those role players that have done it all season have to be able to do it. The most flexibility, but with some of that comes some, hey, like, can we continue to play the right guy, the hot hand? And is somebody going to step up to do that? Because if they don't, you're right, there's an early exit scene. Because you think about a matchup with the Lakers that I outlined, I think you're pretty confident or more confident in the 3 Lakers scorers than you would be for OKC's 3 scorers. But OKC can win in many different ways.
All right. I guess it's time for my prediction. Lakers Thunder. Cavs Celtics. Lakers over Cavs.
Okay. That would be fun. LeBron over there. I mean,
it's not happening.
Not in the moment.
To be different. But... Frankly, it might end up. This is the funny thing about this series. I mean, this playoffs. It might end up chalky. But that doesn't mean there's going to be hell a lot of drama along the way. Hell a lot of drama along the way. I think the Cavs have a very legitimate chance to beat the Celtics. I really like, depending on what the odds are. If they're plus 150 or more, I'm throwing something on the Cavs.
I think you might have to.
You have to. I think they're right freaking there.
I think you have to.
Why do I have to?
You've been there. Like I think you've been consistent in backing them and giving them the real chance that I don't know that everyone has. And not to say, I think they have a real chance. I don't know how I'm going to be able to bet against Boston. Yeah. Maybe it'll be impossible because the Knicks will beat them. Who knows?
Hey now, listen. No shot. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. If we get there, that's all I'll say.
Let's get there.
Cody O'Connor, thank you as always. I cannot wait for Saturday. I'll tell you this real quick. My day on Saturday. It's my father-in-law's birthday. Shout out Pop-in-Law. Going golfing with Jack Mack. Shout out Jack Mack.
Bankroll Jack, baby.
Bankroll Jack. Shout out Bankroll Jack. Very mad when Cody tweets about the Devils from Subway Sports Talk. That's okay. Me, Bankroll Jack, Papa Mac, and Matt Mack. Shout out Matt, the other brother. Golfing Saturday morning. It's his birthday. It's his birthday. Today, right now. Didn't text him yet. Holy shit. I got to text him right now.
You're good. You have almost 2 hours.
Happy birthday, Mr. Mack. Maybe I'll send him this clip. Happy birthday, Mr. Mack. I appreciate you. You're a great father-in-law and a great man. Boom. His birthday, NBA playoffs all night. Bang. Can't wait.
Golf. I'm assuming there's, a little bit of drinking going on throughout that day.
Anywhere between 2 and 14 beers.
Yeah.
Anywhere in between.
Bad day to be a Guinness.
Horrible.
Nice hands.
A lovely day to be a Guinness. Every day is a lovely day to be a Guinness. All right, Cody O'Connor, that's enough. Let's go to bed.
Let's get it, man.
Actually, let's watch Mavs Kings.
Oh, the Heat beat the Bulls, so that's official.
I'm taking the Heat over the Cavs in the first round. All right, Cody O'Connor, Subway Sports Talk. Thank you as always. Maybe the Mets will start hitting the baseball again, starting in their next series here. But that's all we got for Subway Sports Talk. We'll do more of it. We also have T.O. Allen Friends, 8 p.m. Thursday night on Uptown Sports TV. We'll be breaking even more Knicks and Pistons down on that show. I appreciate you guys. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Subway Sports Talk, YouTube, subscribe, notification bell, and rate and review the podcast. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.